What's up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, dogs and cats, and all the cars in the ocean? That makes no sense. It is 8 o'clock in the morning. It's the 28th day of July, 2022. It's almost my birthday. You got to get me a present. It's 63 degrees and sunny-ish here at Site B, but I think we had a little rain. I don't know, man. Weather. I just don't get it. Anyways, it's time for a GM tip. We haven't done a GM tip in a bit. Want to toss this one out there. I know it's one I've done before, but I feel because apparently we're going to have 500,000 new game masters just rise up out of the ocean because of the trailer for the D&D movie. This is something I heard yesterday. Because, Chris Pine is so popular and he's carried such major franchises that the D&D movie is going to generate 500,000 new game masters. So here's my game master tip of the day for all the new game masters out there, and maybe all the people who've game mastering a while and just sort of run up to that inevitable DM, what the fuck do I do, Cliff? And that tip is, of course, be prepared. And by be prepared, I mean not only know the material that you're presenting to your players, but be prepared for the inevitable fact that the players are going to do something completely different. And a third one I want to add to that now, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but I feel it's kind of important. It's a complaint that's come up with my games. It's something I've complained about in the past. It's something that I've seen happen to other DMs. And that is the consistency of players and the willingness to either are you just going to drop the game or are you going to continue knowing full well that in today's age, we cannot 100% commit to a game every week, every other week, like we used to when we were kids. When we were kids, we could show up every week, game for 10 hours. It didn't matter. But that's different today. People are busy. People have schedules. People have lives. People have school. People have jobs. So it is just not a good idea to be a game master, plan your game, and then expect everybody to show up. I mean, unless you're going to confirm ahead of time. And even then, last minute things happen. People forget it's their birthday, which actually happened to me once, though I don't think he actually forgot his birthday. I think he just didn't want to play. So you've got to be prepared for what to do in that situation. So a situation was like, I heard about the situation the other day. 2 players showed up out of the DM's normal 6. And the DM had 2 choices. He could have continued running, doing a side quest with those 2 characters, had the 2 players make up new characters and do a one-shot, or drop the game for the day. And even though both players were like, let's play, we're here, let's go, we've got time, I went out of my way to get here. Run something, dude. Run a side quest. Run a one-shot. We'll make new characters. But the DM was like, the stars aren't aligned. I'm not going to do it today. I need at least, what everybody. And that's just fucking bullshit, dude. All right? I'm just going to call a spade a spade. If you didn't want to run, you should not have run. I mean, especially because this guy said he knew at least one player wasn't. He knew 2 of the players weren't going to come ahead of time. So if he knew 2 players weren't going to come ahead of time, and his thing is, I'm not going to run unless everybody's there, then his thing should have been like, I've got everybody's phone number. I'm going to text them and let them know there's no game today because player A and player B are not going to come. Because the 2 players showed up and 2 other players wandered by and were like, hey, we might be interested. And the guy was just like, nah. All right. And he's forgetting that, yes, 2 players, 2 of his 4 players, 2 of his 6 players had other lives and couldn't come because of reasons. But 2 people showed up. And that's, gas money, time, and energy for those 2 people. And he had 2 people there who wanted to play, and they're like, willing to do one-shots, they're willing to do whatever, and the guy's just like, nah. And no, I'm sorry, okay? Especially since you knew ahead of time that 2 people weren't going to be there. You had 2 people there. Be prepared, okay? Be prepared because this is going to happen. You're going to have days when not every player shows up. Whether you're playing at a game store, at your house, we're adults now, and you cannot expect us to be able to commit every week to a game when we've got to keep a roof over our head, keep our kids fed, we've got corona and monkeypox, we've got all sorts of things. All right, so if two players show up and you're like, no, fuck that. No, you should either be, okay, I'll run a one shot. I'll run a side quest. You guys showed up. I'm here. I'll run. That was always my thing. I was always like, there's two people here. There's four people here. There's people who've never played before. I'm here. I'll run. I'll do a one shot, make new characters. I'll do a side quest, what the fuck ever. We're here to play. So let's play. Let's play a different game. Do a one shot in Marvel Superheroes or do a one shot Cyberpunk. Run a different game. Run a side quest. Have them make new characters and run a dungeon. Be prepared. Okay? I don't know how many times I can say this. This is probably in my top 5 DM tips. If I would narrow it down to the top 2 things I want every DM to know, it's start small, be prepared. Be prepared if they go off script. If they do something your adventure hasn't planned, don't just shut the door. Give yourself the permission to run with what they're doing and try and find ways to implement your plot into whatever it is they're doing so you can still tell the adventure that you have written, but also run with the creativity of the players if they're doing something completely different. Because as we've gone over 100,000 times, things don't have to happen in any specific order, and things don't have to happen where they're supposed to happen. You have the freedom as a game master to move shit around. If they don't go to site A and the thing they need to carry the story is in site A, just move whatever it is to wherever they're going. You can still tell the adventure that you want to tell as well as, tell the adventure they want to tell. And the second one is be prepared. Be prepared for when they go off course. Be prepared if your players don't show up. Be prepared to run something else. Run a side quest, run a one shot, have somebody else run. I know one other player was like, dude, I'll run. But the DM's like, nah, and that's just a fuck you to your players, dude. That's just like, hey, I know you guys showed up. You drove here, walked here, rode your bike here. You came here expecting a game. You're here. You're ready to play. We've got a table. We've got time. But yeah, I can't run if not everybody's here. No, just run something else. Run a one shot. Run a different game. Be prepared because inevitably you're not going to have every player show up. And especially if you know the fuck ahead of time that your players, 2 of your 6 players aren't going to show up and you're not going to run unless you have the full house because you're just locked into this adventure, which goes back to be prepared. Number 1, don't lock yourself into the adventure. Then let the 2 people, 4, 6 people who are on their way know there's no game today because, 2 players dropped out and I'm not prepared. It's like, well, I came all this way, dude. That was gas money. That was food money. That was time I could have spent doing something else. I left work early, I left the baby in the oven. And now I'm here. I want to play. And you're like, I don't want to run because not everybody's here. It's like, yeah, no, that's just be prepared to have a backup plan if all your players don't show up. Be prepared to let somebody else step up, run a different game, run a different scenario. If you know ahead of time they're not coming and you have the ability to communicate with your players, and at this point in time, at this day and age, with the level of communication technology available to you, you have no excuse to not communicate with your players. So be prepared. And be prepared if they go off script. Do not fucking lock yourself into a module, okay? Do not railroad your players. Do not, you can take a module, use it as a framework, and then just spiral off of the framework of the module to not only tell the adventure you've got planned, but react to what the players are doing and modify the adventure to fit whatever it is the direction is going. You can still tell the Maltese Falcon no matter what direction the players go, as long as you've got that framework of things you think should happen to tell the story you want to tell with your adventure. You can move them around, you can shuffle them, you can ignore things. Modules are frameworks. Gygax even said so. Yeah, it's not rules as written. These are suggestions. These are frameworks. Do what you want with the game. If you got the imagination, if you got the gumption to be a DM and step up, you've got that responsibility to run with your players if they go in a different direction, to support the players that show up and to not get angry at players who don't show up. That's another one. If people don't show up, don't get angry. That was one I was guilty of a lot, which now, hindsight being 2020, I wish I wasn't, because it cost me a few friendships. I got to understand that, other people have lives. And if they let you know, then you shouldn't be angry at them, If they don't let you know and then you're like, show up and nobody shows up, which has also happened to me, then that's on them, But if you show up and you got at least 2-3 people there out of your 6-10 players, run fucking something. Have a folder of characters and pre-generated. So when that situation happens, you're like, you know what? Let's do a one shot. There's a game I've always wanted to run. Here's you 2 guys. Do you guys want to play, Call of Cthulhu? Anyways, that's my GM tip for the day. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What do you think this DM should have done? He had 2 of his 6 players there. They wanted to play. 2 other players let him know ahead of time that they weren't going to show up. What should he have done? Should he have let the other players know ahead of time, no game today, don't bother coming because we're not going to have? Or should he have, knowing that players were there, said, you know what, I'm going to run something. You're here. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to run. Or did he do the right thing by saying, you know what, I'm not going to run today because there's only 2 people here. I know you took time out of your day to be here, but whatever. Which choice should he have made? What's the right choice to do when some of your players don't show up? I think if you've got at least 2 players, you run something. You run a side quest. You have them make different characters and run a one-shot. You try a different game for one night, whatever. Otherwise, you let people, and if you know ahead of time and you're like, I'm not going to run unless Tom, Dick, Harry, Susan, and Stephanie are all there, but I know Tom and Dick are on their way here, so I'm just going to text Tom and Dick and go, look, don't come. I'm not running today because Susan and Harry and Stephanie aren't here, and I won't run unless everybody's there. Which choice should he have made? Let me know what you think. It's the OG GM. It's almost August, which means it's almost RPG a day, and it's almost my birthday. Till next time, I will talk to you later. Now go out there and run a game in the name of Gary Gygax. I recommend Call of Cthulhu or Castles and Crusades.